Hello, it's Anna Hill here with the Farming Today podcast. MPs call for farm inheritance tax to be halted until an assessment of its impact in Wales is drawn up. We'll have more on that a little later. First though, if you've been to Guernsey in the Channel Islands, you might have come across the local prize-winning cider. It's called Roquette. This year's apple harvest has been a bumper one, but with a small orchard on small landmass, the family producing Roquette on Guernsey have had to find a creative way to supplement their crop. Every year they hold apple swaps, where the community can pick the apples in their gardens or orchards and bring them to the farm in return for money, cider or chutney. Theo White went to Guernsey to meet James Mellor, the founder of Roquette, to find out how this system of community farming works.
We started planting trees in 1998 and it's grown and grown ever since then.
How many acres do you have? How much do you make every year?
Well, about around 200,000 litres of cider, I'd say. We've got about 15 acres planted with 5,500 trees. But as you can see this morning, we've got a big response from the public who also bring in their apples. That makes up maybe 10-15% of the cider.
So essentially, because you're on a small island and you only have space for a small orchard, you've actually kind of enlisted the public.
In the beginning, it was we were short of apples, so we put out an appeal, and since then it's just grown and grown, the popularity of bringing apples to us.
Are you getting cider apples from the public, or is it eaters and cookers and all the kind of things you might normally see in a kitchen garden type setup?
It's mostly cookers and eaters, but the eaters and cookers make a good blend with our own cider apples. A full cider tannin juice is quite a challenging flavour, so it is good to have a blend of other apples with it.
How's the harvest been this year?
It's a phenomenal year. The issue is trying to get it all in and finding enough space for it. We don't want to turn anybody away. We want to take everybody's apples as far as we can. And our own crop is huge.
We're here, it's not even 9 o'clock yet, it's probably about 8:45. There's a queue of cars coming up to your barn and your staff are rapidly unloading them, weighing them, and then sending them round to make their trade. We're in the first car in the queue now. Hello, what's your name?
Reg Harbour.
Well, you've got a very small car. Is it a smart car? And it's absolutely filled to the brim with apples. What do you have?
About I would think about 200 weight in here. This is the 6th time I've brought this up.
Oh my goodness. And what variety are they?
These ones are my green slavers, and these are ramblers in here, the cookers.
Here we are, another boot absolutely filled with apples.
This is the 5th week I've brought a carload up, and it's just from 2 Bramley apple trees in the garden.
What are you going to go for? Cider, money, chutney?
It's always cider.
Don't encourage him.
I keep a stash of bottles under my bed, so it'll last me into next year.
On a personal note, what's it like to engage with a business like this? Do you feel like you're part of the product being made?
Absolutely, you do, because if you go into a pub or something and you buy a pint of cider, you think, well, there's some of my apples in that, which is nice.
What were your names?
Mike and Pete.
This is a bit more of an operation. You've got a little Suzuki super carry type thing. What have you got in the back?
Lots of eating apples. We don't know the varieties.
There might be 1 or 2 cider apples. All the labels dropped off years ago, so we've forgotten what they've planted.
I mean, you've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dustbins absolutely filled to the brim.
We could have done it 5 times over. So.
Really?
My name is Emma Nicola Mellor. I came onto the business about 10-15 years ago, but obviously I've been very much involved with James since it began in the late 90s.
So you're manning the desk here. You've got some lovely looking Roquette products. What do you do once the weighing's been done?
We calculate what we owe the customer, so they have 22p a kilo for cider apples and 19p a kilo for normal apples. They can then come along and choose bottles of cider, brandy or the liqueurs or chutneys, or they can take the cash.
So this is the calculation here, Jackie, being done, is it? This is a huge load. What was the total?
They had 323 kilograms.
250, so it's way out, yeah.
And you've got £61.25.
One of those. Brilliant.
So what are you going to go for with your 61 pounds?
All the apple brandy.
Well, basically it's Calvados, and it's better than you get in Normandy.
Thank you.
Super, thank you very much. Thanks so much.
I bet it is. That report from Theo White on Guernsey. Now, all week we've been exploring the world of mushroom farming, but there could be a completely new avenue for growers to go down. How about turning fungi roots into building materials? It may sound a bit strange, but it's already happening in laboratories and in commercial enterprises too. Mycelium is the network of filaments which feed off decaying material, and mushrooms are the fruiting bodies of that fungus. And our scientists are working on growing mycelium networks on a substrate, often of farm waste, which can then be used in building materials, especially insulation. Joni Wildman is a mycologist at the University of Bath who's working in this area. She explained what she's doing.
So I'll take my substrate and put it in some sort of a container, which is the shape of the material that I want it to be in the end. And I mix that in with the mycelium, and the mycelium threads will go about colonising that throughout the substrate. And when you dry that out, it's formed a solid structure that is bound together. So it's almost like a natural glue, a natural adhesive.
I believe you're thinking of using this for insulation in houses. I mean, there are lots of other things you could use, natural products like wool, for instance. Why do you think mycelium is a good alternative?
Firstly, the versatility of the substrate that you could use. So, we are dealing with a waste crisis. There's lots of different, waste streams that the mycelium can utilise to form this material that you otherwise couldn't just sort of pile into the interior of your walls, so using up waste streams. What's unique about these materials is the fact that they have been sort of grown in a way, and therefore you can manipulate them a little bit more to get the desired properties that you like, whether that's physical properties. You could engineer the air spaces within the material to be the right size so that it's optimum for insulating your home. Experiment with looking at could you make them more antimicrobial? Could you make them more fire resistant? That sort of thing.
Is it expensive to do? I mean, does it need lots of energy? How easy is it to produce?
Doesn't need to be expensive or use lots of energy. Currently, the companies that are working at producing these are still in the they're still looking at scaling things up. So perhaps currently it's not been optimized for that, but it still uses a lot less energy than traditional materials do. Much more sustainable in that regard. Definitely doesn't need to be expensive. The main bulk of the material, if that's a genuine waste product, you'd probably be getting that for free, or perhaps even being paid to take on some waste materials.
Do you think there'd be a time when mushroom growers who are farmers could actually have an extra income and be growing mycelium alongside,
There has been some projects where people have been using blocks to grow mushrooms, but then once the mushrooms have grown, you're still left with this bound together material, and then you can dry that out and use that as a brick or whatever. So actually, you could do both. Yeah, definitely.
Joni Wildman there, mycologist at the University of Bath. A report by the House of Commons Welsh Affairs Committee is calling for the government's inheritance tax on farmers to be halted because it says the tax will have a detrimental impact on Welsh farming, which is intrinsic to the Welsh economy. Rural communities across Wales have protested against the tax, but as we've heard on this programme, there seem to be no indications that the government will change its mind. The report also says that the UK government doesn't give enough consideration to the importance of farming or rural communities in Wales. BBC Wales reporter Ellie Rice has been picking through this report by MPs and told me what she had found.
The standout finding really was this call a year after it was announced that changes to inheritance tax should be paused The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, revealed in her budget plans to tax inherited agricultural assets worth more than £1 million. And many farmers took to the streets all over the country. We saw really striking pictures of protests, tractors lined up at government buildings. So the report says that here in Wales, that's caused unnecessary climate of uncertainty and confusion. It says the UK government's approach was complacent and led to an information vacuum. They say in the absence of data or assessments, it's impossible for farmers to plan or to understand the impact that it could have on them. And therefore, before anything goes ahead, the government should bring forward a Wales-specific impact assessment. Leading the charge on that call is the chairwoman of the committee, Labour's Ruth Jones.
We only make up 4% of the population, but our farms are very, very different. Over 40% of Welsh farmers and their families speak Welsh, compared to 20% of the rest of the population. We know that 17% of UK agricultural workers are in Wales, only 4% of the population, so we've got a lot going for our farmers. We're not saying no to reform, of course we're not. We don't want wealthy landowners getting off their taxes, absolutely not. But our farms are not, by and large, wealthy tax evaders. They are farms created by families and for their families, and for our future farming, we need to protect them.
And there's loads more in this report too. It's all about the state of farming here in Wales and what the future's got in store. You heard Ruth Jones there say how lots more farmers and their families speak Welsh compared to the general population here. These are the kind of cultural points they want the government to show they understand. They say future policy decisions affecting the farming sector here must be scrutinised by the Wales office. On trade, another big topic post-Brexit, they note efforts must intensify in reducing friction for Welsh exports. They say there's a strong case to be made for the Welsh Government to maintain ring-fenced agricultural funding to help provide more certainty. It asked for administrations at both ends of the M4 to work together, especially in supporting young, new entrants to farming. In particular, they reference supporting tenant farmers. They say it's a vital route into the industry. For their part, the Welsh Government thanked the committee and said it would consider the findings.
So what have farmers had to say about the report's findings, Ellie?
Yeah, we've heard from unions this morning. NFU Cymru says it welcomes the idea of pausing inheritance tax reforms. Their chair, Aled Jones, gave evidence to the committee. He said the report is particularly powerful because it comes from a diverse, cross-party group of MPs who've reached a unanimous view. The Farmers' Union for Wales said approaching the autumn budget, the Chancellor must take these findings seriously. They said uncertainty over future funding, referencing that ring fencing, risks undermining the long-term sustainability of Welsh family farms. Farms like that of Peter Rees. He's a dairy farmer near Carmarthen. His family have run the same farm since the 60s and over the years have introduced a touring caravan site and much more recently a wedding venue. He says as his nephews and nieces step into the breach, his family have tried to make decisions which appeal to their interests, all while bearing in mind the rules as they were and not what they might become.
The frustrating thing about all this is that it's all investment that we've made in bricks and mortar and employing people, local people, using local food and things like that. And it's coming back to bite us now because obviously it adds to our capital value. It really puts a lot of pressure on us now because we have to make decisions differently.
We've had a couple of lines in a statement from the Treasury which said it was backing British farms with the annual investment allowance for plant and machinery investments, billions for sustainable food and action to cut EU export costs. It went on to say 40% of agricultural property relief worth £219 million goes to just 117 estates. It says its reforms will channel that funding into vital public services. So with the budget a fortnight away, perhaps many will be hoping Rachel Reeves does heed some of this, Anna, but all in all, strong words from start to finish in this report and plenty to chew over.
BBC Wales reporter Ellie Rice there. And that's all from us. I'm Anna Hill. The producer was Beatrice Fenton. Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.